Good evening, everybody. This is the Finance Committee. It is November 20th, 2025. I have about 4:03. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. And is there any, we don't have anybody from the public at the moment. Is there anybody on the committee that would like to say or ask a question? Ron?
Hi, yeah, really quick question, Rich, could you update us please on the fiscal 24 audited financials? And then I guess I should ask fiscal 25, are we engaged with someone to start working on them, or any movement on those?
So the 24 audit's been an issue, not for us. We've provided everything, and I'm pretty confident there's going to be no changes or no findings. But our firm has merged 3 times in the past year. But it is getting critical. We're going out to bond in January, and we need our statements. I've contacted the auditing firm, finally got a hold of somebody, a separate partner, and assured me 2 Mondays ago we'd have it at the end of the day, Monday. Didn't come. Followed up the rest of the week, assured me we'd have it this past Monday. Don't have it. And I just emailed her again, copying our bond counsel. And she replied that she's trying to contact the partner in charge of our audit, and either her or him will give me an update. So I don't know what that means, but we're kind of trying to put on the pressure. They told us they had a lot of issues in their transitions and that they're still trying to wrap up 24 audits, and that generally speaking, they're on track, getting back on track for 25 audits, and they are under contract for a couple more years. So we'll have to evaluate what that looks like depending on what happens with this 24 and 25. It's kind of hard to change stream on 25 at the moment, other than try to get better scheduling from them.
Good luck. Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions from the committee? Moving on to the agenda, we have the minutes of the prior meeting. They were October 23rd, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of October 23rd, 2025?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
That's Roy.
I'll second that.
Second. Is there any discussion? There are 2 names in here that need to be corrected. Mira.
Got it.
Peter and I both sent it, I guess.
Okay. So you've corrected the names for Maura and Sarah. So, does everybody have it? Are you voting on the corrected amended minutes, or? Because I did not see the correction, so.
There,
Were they part of the pile?
well, she had a couple copies. When were they sent out?
I didn't see the,
I think she sent them out yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I'm voting on.
Those are the only corrections from.
yeah, okay.
It's sent out and then
I'll give you a copy.
I have.
You have, okay.
It's
I'm a stickler on names,
I appreciate that.
and so I like to make sure everybody's names are spelled correctly. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the minutes of October 23rd from Roy, a second from Patty. Any further discussion? All in favor? Excuse me, Paul, Kate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Should I abstain? I wasn't at the meeting.
Steve, you were not here. You and Ron, you were not here.
Correct.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Roy, 7-0.
Mary?
Yes, Rich.
I hate to infringe on our guests, but I am away at a conference and have an event to get to. So I was hoping I could give you an abridged, summarized version of the capital plan that's in front of you.
You wish to do that before we have the conversation with Maura and Sarah?
Yeah, unfortunately, but I do have an event to get to.
How does that work with your schedule? I'm sorry, I was not aware that that's going to happen. Okay, Rich.
I'll try to keep it to about 5 minutes. And of course, you'll have a lot of detail. I just want to introduce it to you. And then if you have questions between now and the next meeting, feel free to let me know and I can respond to them. And then, of course, we can address any questions at the next meeting as well. I'm going to share with you, the full book should be complete on next week, around the holiday. Whoops, I gotta share my screen. Which will have all the detail, but this is the summary of that plan. And I'm looking first at the townwide infrastructure improvement plan. And this leads into the overall townwide capital improvement plan, but this is a piece of it. But I just wanted you to be aware of some of the infrastructure pieces where we have some monies that we're trying to start put aside for dredging at Rock Harbor. Because that, believe it or not, that's going to be happening again. We are also looking on funding local road improvements. And actually, I have a change in talking to Jackie last minute yesterday. Instead of 250 between intersection improvements, we're going to put 250 down under planning and design for Route 6. Because as you see, if everything were going according to schedule on this, that we'd have a big bond issue in the following year on finalizing design to get on the state's capital improvement or transportation improvement program, the TIP program. Also in FY28, Shana Brogan's continuing a lot of work on townwide landings. We have potentially some significant grants that will cover the vast majority of that. But in the event they're not covered, this is the anticipated cost, about $1.5 million for the 4 townwide landings that we're contemplating. In the event that we do receive the grants, obviously it won't cost that much, but then we would be on the hook for some matching funds. So there'll be some impact one way or the other. That's been on the plan for a while now, and the project's been moving slowly because we're working with federal agencies, and it's continued to move slowly, especially with the shutdown, so that we move those projects out another year. You also see down here some continued investment into Tea Time, Town Center Plaza, and COA site design, development, and engineering. So we can start pulling those projects together now that wastewater is moving forward. And those are kind of the big projects. I'm going to next move into another detail of the townwide capital improvement plan, but that's the building and facilities component. And so I'm sharing my screen again, and there's not a lot of change here from last year, so I'm not going to go into too much detail other than to say we continue the same practices and continuing the straight line funding for each facility based on the engineering report that we had done a couple of years ago that indicates the upcoming maintenance and repair costs over the next 20 years. And so we're trying to provide sufficient funding to accommodate those needs. And of course, in years where sometimes the funding doesn't come in time for the need, and so and that's the case especially for the senior center. So you see that we have supplements to that annual funding to get caught up or to handle big projects that are happening before we have sufficient resources. You also notice that wherever possible that we have a pretty good idea or inkling that we're going to be able to get other funding, like at Town Hall. We are anticipating that we will qualify for a climate leader designation that gives us up to $1 million grant opportunities. And so this big supplement here is really for a Town Hall HVAC electrification and replacement. But we expect hopefully a good portion of that to be funded by a grant. So you have this in front of you. You don't need me to go through that. It's the same as last year in straight line amounts for the next 5 years. But I will remind you that not only do we base that funding on the engineering report, then I also go through with our, this here is our results of our engineering report that indicated how much we need over the next 20 plus years. And here's our schedule of how much we have in each facility's account. The annual funding coming in or supplemental funding coming in, less the projects being anticipated to be completed. So therefore maintaining a running balance over the short term. And so I reference that because I do make each department head and our DPW give me some building and facility project needs. And I pull that together with them and make them hash out, what are the priorities here? And so every facility also has a short-term project list. Obviously, we're not going to cover the next 20 plus years of projects, but just what's in the next few years that we anticipate need to be done and an estimate of cost. And that kind of develops for them a work plan between the department head and DPW of what they ought to be doing in the upcoming year or two. And the color coding here indicates kind of the severity of need. So that's for each facility, and you can feel free to take a look at all the detailed projects that we think are the most pressing. So that's how we develop our facilities plan. And all that wraps into our townwide capital improvement plan, which, I'm pretty proud of because we do a pretty good job of trying to put, the universe of things that we think we might need into this plan. Not uncommon that, some towns ask their town meeting or the communities to support a project, and the common complaint you hear is, well, I might be supportive, but I don't know what's happening in the future. I have no, confidence that we know everything else that's in front of us. Well, hopefully this lets everybody know what else is in front of us for the next 5+ years. And so our first section is the facilities and land section, which came from that building and maintenance report that I just showed you. The second section is the infrastructure section, which is what I also just showed you, the detail of that. And then we get into our fleet inventory vehicles. You'll recall in the detailed budget book for the capital budget, there's a lot of details as to specific fleet vehicles and their condition assessments on a year-to-year basis. So you'll have all that next week. We do a replacement program for the most commonly used vehicles like police cruisers and DPW staff trucks. But large individually significant items like a dump truck are shown separately. Then finally, at the bottom of this plan is the departmental equipment needs. And likewise, we have equipment replacement programs that are documented at the detail in the capital budget book that you'll get. In this case, this is the technology, personal computer replacing program. And you notice that in most cases on the equipment and even on the vehicle replacement programs, they each have supplemental additions for additional free cash, because the replacement program is funded by the $400,000 that we get from the tax levy. But that amount that we institute, I think probably 4 or 5 years ago now, is now not sufficient. And so we have to supplement these programs with free cash. And so this is, a discussion for next month. When I give you a budget update, but we are anticipating some sort of tiered override system for town meeting. And part of the things we're considering and I'll want to talk to you about is, should we also be pursuing increasing the tax levy used for capital replacement? Because the bottom line of all this, when we get to the funding, how are we going to fund and pay for all these capital needs and items in this section here? The thing I kind of always pay attention to is this use of free cash. And it used to be when I first got here that we were, around $1 million, $1.1 million, $1.2 million some years of free cash for recurring need. And, we're higher than that going out, or about that, but a little bit higher. But certainly on the more near-term years, substantially over where we have been. And a lot of that is because the explosion in costs. And we don't want to put at risk our annual replacement programs for things that are really operational, like a police cruiser, computers, and replacing our network infrastructure and stuff like that. So that's a conversation for next month as well. So that's my quick synopsis and overview of the capital improvement plan. You'll get more details, and if you have any questions, I can answer a couple today, and you feel free to email them to me or call me over the weekend or next week, and we can have some detailed discussions if you have any specific questions.
Are there any questions at the moment from the folks here? I have a couple of questions, Rich. You mentioned the 400,000 that was passed maybe 5 years ago or so for the equipment.
Right.
And you mentioned I'm sorry. Oh, I thought somebody said something. And you mentioned that that isn't going to be enough given inflation and everything else. Are you expecting to add to that for the town meeting, or what are your thoughts?
Well, so we have a list going. We know collective bargaining is going to require an override. We suspect that there'll be an override required for the schools in one form or fashion. And then we have a couple of state mandates that are going to require us to do some things that is kind of part of an override. And then we've got everything else that's, optional or discretionary, and this would fall into that category. So it's, that's why I want to have the discussion with the finance committee. Is this something, given what's in front of us with, a 2 or 3 or 4 tiered override potential, how much do we really want to load up? Do we want to go for broke and just tell everybody exactly what we need, or do we want to, space it out? So that's what I'll try and be seeking your advice and recommendation on.
Well, I know in the past, we've put everything sort of into one bucket, and with the idea that we'd be covering something in one bucket to cover us for 3 years. I'm talking about salaries in particular, to add to make one bucket rather than every year coming back.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense to me, but
Well, unfortunately, the buckets are getting pretty large.
I know.
So that's the concern.
Yeah.
I think Rich is just questioning how many buckets we want to put in front of the voters this year.
And my other question is on, looking it over, you've got a ton of things being paid for with free cash.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about paying for everything with hoping that we have the free cash to pay for it.
Well, as you might imagine, I keep a list, so we're going to be good for this year. We got our free cash certification. I think when I was in front of you for our year-end review, I estimated $6.6 million, and I was pretty spot on. We did get our certification from the state for $6.6 million. Now, of course, we maintain a level of reserve in that. So when you take out the reserve and the amount that we have to contribute to the sewer stabilization fund based on from the short-term rentals and a couple other things that we have committed to, we have more than enough to fund the capital plan for this year, and I'm feeling pretty okay about next year too. But going out more than a couple of years, relying on over $2 million a year, typically for on a year-to-year basis, does seem like a lot to me, which is why, I'm considering upping at least the replacement program funding from the tax levy. And also, part of the consideration could be, should we do some tax levy funding for facilities? Because we just did the replacement programs from the tax levy for vehicles and for equipment, but nothing for facilities. So facilities does totally rely on the free cash.
And I guess from that perspective, the one thing that I want to make sure is that we've got the money in there for the buildings to make sure that they're taken care of as far as HVAC, et cetera.
Well, that's a challenge. You see, a lot of the free cash is due to the facilities. Last year, a lot of the free cash was due to the facilities, and some, we had, I think it was $550,000 for townwide HVAC projects. And that is a direct result of a lot of years of deferred maintenance. And so that's why we designed the program and are funding the program the way we are, to avoid that scenario and to keep up with maintenance so you don't have these big hits. But I think it's a good use of free cash. Since I've been here, we have not had to issue bonds or debt exclusions for any of our routine capital plan items, only for, projects. So that has saved us a lot of money, and obviously a lot of angst and discussion at town meeting when people, get concerned about having to borrow and pass debt exclusions. So it's made, I think, it's been cost effective, and it's made everyone's life a little easier just to do it this way.
Any other questions?
Right.
Ron?
Sorry, unrelated to that, I just noticed it looks like someone's waiting in the waiting room. We need to let them in up in the upper right of the screen.
See, there's one person waiting.
I don't know what that is. Is there a waiting room? A message? I don't know. David Demira. Unfortunately, I don't know. And I don't see him on
I think they let him in over
the
there.
screen, yeah.
I can ask, too,
Well-
if you,
I don't, is he in the,
yeah, I don't hold up, Rich, I know.
Yes,
Yes.
okay. Thank you, Rich.
Okay, and I apologize to the folks from the school. I appreciate you coming in. Sorry to jump in front of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Rich. Have fun at your meeting.
All right.
Okay. I'm gonna go on to our agenda and very fortunate to have Maura here and Sarah. And I'm just gonna go sort of around the room to introduce ourselves and we'll proceed from there. I'll start. I'm Mary Shaw and I'm currently the co-chair of the Finance Committee with Peter.
Either way, the other co-chair.
Yeah.
Steve, can I just?
Introduce yourself. Right. Introduce yourself.
We're introducing ourselves from.
Oh, sorry.
We're not asking you to introduce yourself to Roy.
I've met him.
Nice to see you again. Rob Lanier.
Roy Maroli. Fred Weedy.
Patty Anderson.
And we have two folks on the screen there.
Hi, Paul B. Brown.
And Kate Paradise.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I don't know who, Patty Dwyer.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm with the Aperta Part-Time Resident Association.
Oh, okay. You've been here before, sitting in the
Yes.
audience. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Patty Dwyer. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you have a question or are you just
No, I'm just taking some minutes.
checking in? Yeah, okay, very good. Okay. So back to Maura and Sarah, and I think that we did, Peter, I think, sent some questions that we had put together for you. And I'll let you just introduce yourselves and then proceed as you would like and go from there.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Sarah Stair. I just became a member of the Regional School Committee because of someone leaving unexpectedly, so that I just knew as of August.
Mhm. Are you an Eastham resident?
I'm an Eastham resident,
Okay.
yes.
Should say these are our two
We're the
elected.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to check and make sure.
Yeah, I'm the appointed one so far.
Oh, that's right.
It's been a great, I'm not elected.
Who appoints the unfulfilled?
Select board did it.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, elected from East End to serve on the regional district school committee,
exactly.
not the elementary
No,
region.
no, exactly. Yeah, so I'm Maura Noonan Carey. I did serve for 2 terms on the Eastham Elementary School Committee, and then I graduated to the Regional School Committee. As I like to tell people, I'm doing my 2nd term. I just got elected for my 2nd term on the Regional School Committee. I have a kiddo who's a sophomore at the high school. And yeah, that's about me. And I just had some remarks that I put together, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
And then
Please do.
we can dive in.
Yeah.
So
please do.
we're happy to be here. I know Mary and Peter have been inviting me and now Sarah for a little bit. And we're glad that it worked out. And I want to thank all of you because I know how much of a time commitment it is to do what you're doing. Not only in this committee, I'm sure you may be involved in other things too. So thank you for that. So a couple things. I think when Peter and Mary and Sarah and I talked about this meeting, we really saw it as an opportunity to kind of get to know each other. Like, let us tell you a little bit about how our rhythm with the budget and the school committee, hear what your considerations and processes are with regard to the school budget and what you're doing here. I would also say, we're not really gonna dive in on any budget numbers. We're just at the beginning of our budget process for fiscal year 27. Fiscal year 26, we're just starting to get updates on that budget. So we're not gonna dive too much into that. If you have some bigger picture questions on those budgets, that's great. With some other things, charter and choice, I know those are usually big conversation pieces, somewhat complex topics. We're not gonna dive too deeply into those types of things either tonight. We really wanted it as an opportunity to sort of just get to know each other a little bit. I know some questions were sent ahead of time, which is great. I will also note that while Sarah and I sit on the regional school committee, which is a body of 10 people, there's 4 people from Brewster, 3 from Orleans, 2 of us from Eastham, and 1 from Walkley. And that's based on the number of students in each town. So we sit on that body, and then we sit on the finance committee, the budget and finance committee, which is sort of why we're speaking with you tonight. But then we're on a lot of other subcommittees as well, so we know a lot of things, but we don't know everything. So if we don't know something tonight, you ask a question and we don't know, I'll get you an answer. But if we don't know, I'm gonna say, I don't know. I just want you to be aware of that, because we're volunteers as well. We're not on staff, but we have a great staff that we work with. So if there's something that we can answer, we'll certainly get you an answer for it. Yeah, and you'll hear me, I know some people sent some questions ahead of time, which we had the opportunity to look at. Some of the things that are asked, we'll certainly be able to answer, but then there's meetings that we've had even recently that I'm gonna point you to. School committee meetings, budget and finance committee meetings, where there's actually full-blown conversations on these topics that I'm gonna say, hey, for more information, here's something that you guys can look at, because we're not gonna rehash it all in detail here, but there are resources out there for you, and we'll just point you in that direction if you're interested in it, so that makes sense. All right.
Yeah, I just checked out the district website before I came. And there's a great resource on there. You gotta dig a little bit and get familiar with it. But if you go to the calendar and then you see the calendar of all the meetings, and I just went back to the last school committee meeting. It was, I think, before last meeting.
Yeah, November.
But the packet that's on the website from that meeting, it's got a lot of budget
Yeah.
information in it already, and it's in every meeting going forward, it'll have more, so people can, the information's out there, it's just.
I'll send you a direct link to that page, so
Yeah.
all of our meeting, all of the school committee meeting agendas, videos are on one page, so it's easy to get. And then if there's another meeting, like a budget and finance committee meeting, we can get you a link to that too. Still very much a work in progress, making sure everything's on the website, so
Right now, the links to the last 2
the
regional meetings.
the video
aren't
ones. Okay, so we'll get you.
But
we'll get you
Erlen's
good
on
ones.
it.
Yeah,
My angle on trying to set this up was, I've been on the finance committee for maybe 8 years now, and I know that. In the past, the way we got the school budget was when the school budget was finished, and just because of out of necessity, really, it gets finished very late before town meeting. And so finance committee is kind of in the dark, then all of a sudden, Yvonne would come in, read through all the numbers. And there might be a couple minutes for questions, and that was it. So it sort of was opaque, maybe partly of necessity, but I just wanted people to meet some of our representatives, to show that there are just, citizens that are on these committees and making these calls. And then, just so we feel maybe more comfortable about asking questions ahead of time. And then as I told everyone, I've been going to the budget and finance committee meetings for a few years now, and to try to keep everybody up to date with the status of the budget. And then the third thing is this kind of transition time at the district with the new superintendent. New finance director at some point, matter of fact, position's unfilled, I think, as of now, but they're searching hard.
Systems.
Yeah, and new computer system coming on, so. There's a lot going on.
Who does the work?
what's that?
The finance director who does the work.
We have some interim people there,
Interim.
yeah.
Yeah, we have a really good interim.
And our superintendent actually has a background too, prior to being superintendent, but like I think it was assistant superintendent of finance, something like that, not exactly, but so he's got a strong background as well.
Gotcha.
Excuse me, who is the finance director now?
It's,
We don't have one. We have
Who's
His
in-
name is Bob Dudge. He's sort of serving in an interim capacity.
Mm.
I think his last role, he's done this with other schools as well, and then he was superintendent at the tech school at the Bridge. I always forget which one it's called, Upper Cape Tech. Upper Cape Tech, yeah. So, yeah, he's been great,
yeah, I'm impressed with him, the
Yeah.
meetings I've seen.
very much.
So, I mean, the superintendent's already done something that the previous superintendents had done. It's pretty great. I think it's come out with this preliminary schedule, a budget schedule where he wants to have the preliminaries budget out by December 16th, and I could have a meeting in Eastham on that. Maybe it's at the elementary school, their regular meeting, elementary school committee. And then a recommended budget in mid-January and budget workshop January 29th at the high school.
That budget, that, just to jump in for a second, that budget workshop was the first time last year and we got really
That was
positive
very good, I thought.
feedback. So it's an opportunity, if you didn't get a chance to go last year, for all the different, for finance committee, select board, whoever from the different towns to come
Mhm.
all together in one meeting, you know, get an overall picture and then break out by town to
Mhm.
talk more specifically about the budgets. And we got a lot of really positive feedback. We're excited to hone it even more and do that again. So
Mhm.
that's, so add that to your calendars.
Peter, is this a schedule, a more aggressive schedule, or is it one that's always been there, it's just published?
Well, it was never written down as far as I know, that it was.
We've had it internally. I think this is probably, even adds more detail.
And it might be a little more aggressive.
Yeah, it may be,
He's
yeah.
got
I
the
have to
final
look.
budget, March 10th, which gives us a couple of weeks before our warrant has to go to the treasurer. I know a couple times in the past, it's been days before the budget, so.
Maybe we should share this with the committee,
Sure.
if, unless something, you were just asking whether anything had been changed. This was in the packet that I got when I attend all the Eastham Elementary School meetings, and this was in the packet from Glenn. And I think it is something that we should all, depending upon whether anything has changed since. it
This is
was
the
put out.
timeline.
Yeah, the
And Peter
timeline.
sent it to all of you ahead of time, right? Didn't you send that budget timeline?
I don't think so.
Oh, I
No.
thought it
I
did.
thought you did. On the email that.
Yeah,
went to
I copied it.
everybody.
Yeah, Ron got it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you guys,
Okay.
and we can resend it
You
too.
said the primer out, right? Didn't you?
Primer
The
and,
primer.
and this, no?
Oh, maybe I did make a copy of it,
Two
that,
tabs.
not because I have a copy, I have the primer. Yeah, if people can't find it or whatever, then we'll make sure that everybody gets it.
This
Quick,
might be the,
Mary, a quick clarification, sorry to interrupt. I've got here the primer and the notification that was sent out about the November 3rd, I believe, meeting that happened. Was there something else that was sent? Sorry.
Well, Peter is under the impression that if the timeline was sent out at the same time that he sent out
The primer.
the
yeah.
primer.
Okay,
I-
I'll look
I don't
for
have
it,
the
Peter,
date,
sorry.
But let us know, because anybody that would like a copy of what we have here, if you couldn't find it, and I know you have it.
it's in something called NRSD fiscal 27 budget planning document.
Nassau Regional School District. That's what that stands for.
Okay, so it must be. I
October-
imagine it must have been with the budget printer.
When he
email.
sent the primer- he sent the primer.
Maybe October 20th for a date? A bunch, but it looked like that was it was attached on the 20th of October
Okay,
with the primer.
If you can't find it, Kate, we'll be happy to get it to you.
thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to take any time. there.
No, I think it's information we should all have.
Thank you.
And just going back to the timeline, I know one of the problems is the town meeting in Wellfleet. And does that meet there, or has that been changed? I'm not sure when their town
I don't-
meeting is, but it's usually very early.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so,
I think we usually try to work with those.
yeah,
deadlines, yeah.
get it to them in time. Or they could change their town meeting time.
You can tell them that.
I'll work on that. Okay. Did you want to say something else, Peter?
Oh,
We can tell you a little bit how we
Yeah,
go about the
I guess
process. if
maybe
that's
I was
helpful, and I
thinking
know you
about
guys had some questions,
the
so
top.
we can.
overview of the process and maybe where you are in the process.
Yeah, so we're really at the beginning stages of the process, on the budget and finance subcommittee. The administrative team differently is going through their process right there. I think you'll have to help my memory. The principals have been working on their budgets, and then they'll meet with the superintendent and the finance team to go through that. Some of that is in here, but what we've done so far, obviously we've looked at this timeline. And we started doing this last year, maybe even a little year before, really picking out some things that we want to pay close attention to in the budget. So what's going on with class sizes, what's going on with head counts for staff, a variety of things that really, the gamut, you can think of other things.
Well, enrollment for sure,
Enrollment,
choice and all the things that are kind of on the list.
and we really make a list of those kinds of things, so that helps the superintendent and his team as they're working on the budget development process. So far we've done that. We've sort of put together as a group, the finance committee, the budget and finance committee, a list of things we really want to take a close look at. And those will be incorporated as we start to have these conversations around the budget. So that's what we've done so far from the budget perspective.
There's been a lot of talk about shifting the software platforms too, and how
Yeah.
that's sort of thrown a wrench into things. Bob Dutch is working hard on making that happen successfully, and it's just part of the process, and it's slowing things down a little bit, I think, for them, where they're at least having to deal with it.
Big project.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Needed to happen, but a big project for sure.
How long have you had the new software system?
Oh, gosh.
They've been implementing
It's
since the
something-
spring.
Yeah, I
right?
was gonna say last spring, they started implementing it with the team. And they'll continue to do that. The staff, there's a lot of training that happens with staff. And my understanding is that it'll actually talk better with the town system, the various town systems. So what we were doing before, from what I'm told, is there were a lot of duplicate efforts, because, for towns, all those, this will make it a little bit easier because it's so much. That's what I've been told. That's good. Efficiency.
So I imagine by now, the questionnaires or whatever the forms they've decided to get the information has been sent out to the principals.
Yeah.
Middle school and high school.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, if not already, they've got it back, their first draft or their kind of wish list.
Yeah, and then we just,
You haven't seen it yet,
I have no idea.
but that's probably the next meeting is when you.
One of our next meetings for sure, because I remember that happening in December last year, so I would imagine our next meeting is December, it's a Monday, the first Monday in December.
Yeah,
So
I
I imagine,
remember last year. From the first budget, principals' budgets. I think they were 8% increase over the previous year, roughly,
when the first draft came out.
first draft. And then back and forth with their committee and with the superintendent. And then I think by the time finally it was the final budget, it was 3.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, last year's was a lot of sort of
Back and forth.
working to get it down. to
Actually,
where it
middle
needs to be.
school was below.
It was below, yeah.
But-
Yeah, no, it's a process, and with it, like, I'll think of my time when I was working for organizations developing budgets. Of course, you're gonna go in with like what you can, right? Like, see what sticks, but then that sort of whittles down and figure out what works. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of back and forth. We have the principals eventually come to our meetings, so we have an opportunity to talk to them and hear what they're thinking, right? Because we can get any numbers on a piece of paper, but if you don't have a story behind it, what does it really mean, right? Like, they're really there on the ground with the education piece of it, and they tell us why they think they need what they need. So that's why it's so great to have them come and join us, at least for one, sometimes more than that, meetings. So, yeah, it's a very collaborative.
Another thing that struck me about your budget is how much of it is non-discretionary. It's just.
Yeah.
Health insurance, salaries. So there's not a big piece of it you can really work with.
There really isn't. I don't think people realize it a lot, but it's very much, it's very much what it is, right? You have salaries and, those pieces. So we don't have there's not a lot of fluff in these budgets for sure.
As far as the overall concern over the past 10, 15 years with the population going up, it's not gonna stop, it's gonna keep going. Has the ratio to the teachers been consistent, or is that ratio getting smaller and smaller
Yes.
because they don't want to cut curricular?
Right, so what I'll say to that is that we do look at that every year. It starts at the principal at that level, and they, especially in high school, we look at, high school has so many more offerings, right? Like with the extra classes that they offer, so. We look at class counts every year to see how many heads are in that, at desks and then it's determined if, I think there's a threshold, I can't remember the number, if there's X number under for a certain amount of time, then that class is considered, if it's something you can sustain or not, so that's definitely looked at every year.
And the region, looking at the schools, population, consolidations, cost potential in the future. Are you involved in that study at all, outside of your?
We have representation from the school committee on that, so I know, what I can tell you about this is the regionalization and efficiency study that was sort of at the town level, and then we have representatives from the school committee superintendent, that's in some of our chairs are on that, sit in that body. The last I know is that they had their different focus groups in each town, and those just wrapped up last week. I think you went to one of them, right?
I went to the one in Eastham at the Eastham Elementary School. I will say I was a little disappointed at the number of people that appeared. There were only 12 of us. And some of them were the school board, the Eastham Elementary School Board. I would have liked to have seen a much better representation from either the PTA or the parents or something of that nature. But they, as Maura said, they've had, I think, 3 or 4 at different schools, and one at each of the schools, I believe. And they're asked for input from all of us that were there. And they're going to be putting that together and would be presenting that in I think that Michelle, I wrote it down when they're doing a presentation or giving us a result of what everybody has said at the various meetings that they've held.
So there is a schedule.
Yes, there is a schedule.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a schedule.
Yeah, they have their next meeting, next week or the week after, December, they have their next meeting.
Do they have any professionals working with them all?
They have a consulting team that they hired.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They have outside consultant. Yeah. I'm just getting it, yeah. Yeah, what they said at the meeting that I went to said it was gonna be about a year-long process. And they expected to have a report done in the spring.
Yeah.
And they do have a survey that they've asked people to
they did close last Friday.
close up. I don't have the time on that. Yeah. Yeah,
this is something that was started at the town level, and they applied for a grant, actually fund it, and I know the first time it wasn't approved, and then maybe the second time that it was approved, so. The town started and then sort of invited us to the table, to be part of the session.
What you talked about. Stuck with the numbers every year, that's the only number that's out there that can be somewhat swayed in the future as well as the teacher ratio type thing, so.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is out there to touch.
Yeah. Yeah, Eastham, at least in the elementary school, has actually, they increased last year. We've held steady and even increased, so. Yeah, there was a whole article about the different towns across Independence Day, yeah. It's a tricky, it's hard, at least we know how much it costs to live here, so that's a big piece of it, for sure.
Really couple of questions and we're there.
Yeah, I think so.
I have them.
All right, I'll start. You ready for questions?
Question,
Yeah. I first wanted to say this budget primer is fantastic,
This
because
is Rob Tobias from Bruce.
he really did a
Yeah.
great job. I read it like 10 times. Because what I struggled with, is just the region's different than, we get a budget for Eastham Elementary, which is straightforward. We get the tech, which is straightforward, and then we get the high school, we get the middle school, and then we get this region only and the central office.
I know.
And things, move back and forth. So, part of it was it's a struggle to understand that.
Yeah.
So seeing this, it solves a lot of the,
I think that's why
What's
he
the-
wrote
It
it,
was.
yeah.
to help himself understand.
It was great, we were all like, thank you, and then the school reviewed it, and had some input, but that's all Rob, and he did a great job, he's really good about distilling things and helping to make it more clear for people, so.
Yeah, and especially the difference, I have my little yellow stickies, the difference between the region only in the central office and how things kind of move back and forth. Cause when I had asked about that reclass that they did last year,
Right.
which they mentioned in here, the operations bucket.
Yeah.
In the region only, that housed all the benefits, like the health insurance. That had health insurance for all the elementary schools,
Right.
Brewster, so all of them, central office. And the two schools, high school, middle school. So when they talked about moving them out, did they move out all the elementary schools and the central office, and all that's sitting left now in operations is gonna be middle school and high school for those?
Yeah, everything,
fringe
yeah, it
benefits?
was one of those things that people had in their mind for a bit, and we knew it was gonna be a big undertaking to make it happen. I think it's one of those things. As the region grew, it was a spot to put it, right? But it didn't make sense to those of us, especially sitting in the region seats, to have elementary school costs in the budget, so we really dove in, and in that central office committee, there are 4 people really key in that, and really dove in and separated that out, and I think you had asked, is that gonna happen again this year? From my knowledge, they got pretty much what they wanted out last year, and not to say that there's not some stuff that might come up in our conversations this year that may need to be addressed, but yeah, that was the big for sure.
And was any of that bucket, that operations, was there any reimbursement? And that, cause I know, like, if you look at the budget. And you might not know, and I thought of it. More yellow stickies. This was last year's budget where they had transportation, charter, choice out, and special education. And then the last piece is operations, and they didn't put it in here, where they had the budgeted expense, and then they had the column. For the income, like, for example, the transfer, it was interesting to learn that a regional school gets all the transportation reimbursed by the state, and it wouldn't, like the elementary doesn't. So they had the 2 columns next to each other, where they had the total and then the reimbursement, and then what we're responsible for. It didn't have operations, and I didn't know what operations was until I read this, and I'll ask it, if you don't know it, I'll ask it at the budget presentation. I was just wondering if there was any reimbursement in that bucket, because what confused me is when we moved that $1 million out of operations and assigned it to the elementary schools, I thought that it would just be a wash, because we were paying our assessment to the region only. Eastham pays about 20%. If it was $1 million, we would have paid about 200,000. And then when we moved it out, it should have been a wash to the town of Eastham. We would have. So I'm just thinking there must have been some reimbursement. And
What do you mean by reimbursement?
state reimbursement or like. Last year's budget had reimbursement for everything in that region only, except for operations. So I didn't know if maybe there is no reimbursement.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of, I thought of it after I sent this. I was like, well, maybe that's why we. And I think that might be more appropriate for me to ask at the budget presentation in March, because maybe they'll know more.
But I can find it out for you in the meantime too. But yeah, like you said, it was a matter of moving things, so ultimately the towns, it was a lot.
It should have been a wash, but
Yeah.
you got bumped up that stuff, so. And then when I read this, again, that must have been that reclass that they did last year, and I remember Brooke saying, we were gonna spread it out over a few years, and then we said, let's just peel the Band-Aid off and do it all at once, so
Yes.
like, it was kind of clicking and making sense, so I'll look for that, I think, at the budget.
Definitely.
And then the other question I had was, central office, because I remember after the presentation, Ron and I looked at each other, and we were like, what's the difference between central office and region only? And this clears it up.
Yeah.
But I know it talked about, a lot of the central office budget is covered by grants. And there's grant funds. I know they said it covered the, food services. I know that because
There's a variety, yeah, food services is very much, and they're just super productive too, that program, it just really runs itself. In the summertime, they do the Firebirds concession, it's pretty impressive, our food services program.
Right.
They're like sustainable.
Yeah.
It's amazing, yeah,
So I know they're covered.
so
by
they
grant-
get some grant funding.
They get a lot of.
But some grant funding, I know.
Some, not
Like
all,
so not all?
yeah.
Transportation isn't 100%.
No,
Like
and we
85.
actually, I don't have a specific number for you, Patty, about the central office, like, percentage. Because I didn't have enough time to reach out to the administrative office about that, but we did literally at our last meeting, have a presentation from our assistant superintendent, Vicky Saldana, about grant funding. So I would very much recommend that you watch that.
So that was that the one you sent me?
Yeah.
That the link to.
We'll get
Okay,
it, we'll get
so
over.
that Sarah had sent
But
that.
in
to
that packet too, if you go to the website, to that page, the packet actually has
Has it all.
5 pages of information about grant funding for this year's budget. It's awesome.
Oh, okay.
It's the first time that, it's something actually, when I mentioned before, what we asked for in the budget process, grant funding, like how it's broken down is something we've asked for in the past. This is really the first time we've gotten a real good look at it, and it really lays it out. I was super
Okay.
impressed by it,
That's in the
yeah.
packet from that last school committee meeting.
From the November
Yeah.
6th meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Academic stuff, so I'm not sure it's. No, I think.
Yeah, but we can put that on the budget, so it's good stuff like that, but it's a good starting point, and then if there's more information you're looking for, we can use some more.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It just helps to understand that when we get, it's so overwhelming when that budget
The different
comes
budgets,
and
I
it's
know.
at the end of. It's at the end of, it was like the night before the warrant was due. So you can't even ask questions if you don't understand the process, so I
Right.
just wanted to kind of understand that process.
Definitely. And I'm still.
Yeah, so you're.
Every time we're in a meeting, I'm, yeah, I didn't know that. So, yes, and the East Elementary School budget is a much nicer budget to look at, I agree.
Yeah, I think we
No
are.
offense to ours,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was, when I moved on to the region, I was like, oh, this is different. Different, that's right. Like, yeah.
It looks like, based on the new superintendent's schedule, he's gonna make the draft budget public.
Yeah.
Where in the past, sometimes I remember going to one of those meetings, budget and finance meeting, and there was a draft budget. Brooke did not want that thing leaving the room. So that was her philosophy, but when I could get permission, I would send whatever the state of the budget, as incomplete as it was, to the members, just so people
Yeah.
can keep up. It's gonna be great if it's really gonna be made public. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword, because that's why they don't want it out, because then everybody gets up in arms and it's not a finished budget. On the other hand, it helps us instead of having it dumped on us in 1 week.
Well, it certainly be a better planning process if we had more information sooner.
Or we could be maybe more helpful, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the committee has the information.
Yeah, it's a public document.
Well, plus you get more comfortable with the process. As you saw the iteration.
Yeah.
The whole budget and gave you a higher confidence.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna hold anybody to a specific number, but if it's, gives you a gauge of sort of where the numbers are.
So,
I think that's been the problem. Get a big surprise, that
Right.
the number's a lot bigger than we thought. So if we think it's the right number, then we know, then I think we can plan a little bit better as we go through the process.
So,
Do you have, no, I know, I'm not gonna ask you all of my questions.
we're ready for you, Mary.
No, I don't wanna spend the time right now, there's plenty of time. But how do you feel, given what the government is doing as far as completely undoing the entire Department of Education? And I'm assuming that monies from that come to the state uses some of those monies to help us and all the school districts in the state. Have you heard anything from the state as to how any of this is going to affect monies available for one thing or the other?
Not yet, I think they're still trying to figure it out as
Mhm.
well. One thing that we are hoping to do, in addition to meeting, as a regional school committee, we also meet with the elementary school committees about 3 or 4 times a year, sometimes more, depending on what we're up to, in a joint body called the Joint Committee. So we do that, and we're planning to invite our local legislators, Hadley Levy and Julie Sear, to come. This would be in January, to talk more about that as they have more information. So all of us at one time, so the regional school committee and the elementary school committees can benefit from that
You have the-
conversation.
you have
So
the
that's
same
something that we
information.
have planned. We, we have a state association called the Mass Association of School Committees who sends out information on these types of things. So I feel like we're connected enough, so when that information
Mhm.
when we have more information, we'll get access to it, but I don't have any
You don't have
on
it.
that right now.
Because I think a big part of that is the school meals.
Right.
And I know the government took care of it during COVID, the state took it over after COVID, and that's a big part of covering for the meal, breakfast and lunch.
Yeah, and my understanding is that that's good for the year at the state level,
Mhm.
from what I've read. And then at Eastham, thanks to our taxpayers, we do that for our students regardless. So, that's something that the town of Eastham committed to, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago.
No, not anymore.
Oh, I didn't know that,
No,
because of the state funding.
right.
Okay, that's new.
But isn't it still sitting in the bucket? And
Well, it's in,
we'll-
there's money in the family
Yeah.
support package, but,
We haven't had to, right?
but the problem is that those monies
Yeah.
are being used for other things.
Gotcha, okay.
I thought Rich said he did keep a reserve and kept it,
Yeah.
in case we need it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that because the state's been paying for it, the monies have been used for other
Yeah.
things, for
Yeah.
pre-K and the pre-K and the childcare.
Right, so yeah, that would be a conversation if the
Yeah,
state
yeah.
for some reason
Yeah.
at some point had to stop, that would be a conversation that we had, I
Yeah,
imagine. Here somewhere,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
And I guess one of my other questions is about the excess and deficiency issue. And I'm not sure I fully understand it, but if at the end of the year, there's extra money,
Yeah,
which would be nice.
yeah,
If it's more than 5% of the budget, then the amount that's over the 5% is given back?
yeah, so
Or-
I printed a form for you on this, because
Oh.
the state, in my opinion, likes to keep things nice and complicated and not easy enough for me to say to you, this is how it works, so I did print it out for you. And I should have made copies for all of you, but, I can send it, I'll send a follow-up to you as well.
Okay,
But it explains actually the
Okay.
different processes that you could go through. Last year, we did have an excess, let's see, is this?
Yeah, no, I think we had one
I'll find
a
it
year
for you,
ago,
Mary,
but
but,
there was an access, yeah.
we did have an excess, so, we now have a special ed stabilization fund, so we put $200,000 in there. Push the rest into excess and
Mhm.
efficiency, and then, but yeah, this document very much explains. how-
Okay,
how
okay,
it
so
works.
that would be very helpful.
I'll give it to you before I leave, and I'll send it to the
Yeah,
rest of you
yeah,
guys
that would
too.
be terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
But
you.
that's, what you said is pretty true. If it's more than 5%, it has to.
There's a process,
By
there's like two
law, it
different
has to go back to
processes.
the, come off of their
It's
assessment.
either back or forward, there's two different ways it can be done,
Okay.
it's all laid out in there.
Mhm.
But if I try to explain it, you guys will be like, I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about right now. I'm
And,
not
and
good enough at
that,
it.
and that pertains to the tech school as well?
I assume, but I don't know, and I'm
Yeah,
in schools, yeah.
It seemed to me that when we had the meeting on the tech school, they had
I would imagine it would be the same,
an excess, and that was the first time I'd heard about it, so.
more than 5%.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't remember a time that I've been on the school committee that we've had,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like it would never get there.
Yeah, oh, this was, up there, but yeah, that was
Mhm, mhm. Are there any other questions from the committee here, either here or those that are zooming?
I have a question, Mary.
Yeah, sure, Roy.
This is a good, excellent budget primer, I
Yeah.
have to say.
yeah, you did a
Really
great job.
well done. I guess this is a very basic question, but how is a foundation budget determined?
the foundation budget at the state level. It's also an involved conversation. I can send you, we have lots of good, we were just sending.
We were
Sarah
just laughing
copies.
at those.
We got a rough description of what it is though.
Did you want to take a stab at Sarah?
How does it impact individual schools?
Well, there are several different determinants that go into what the state considers is the basic amount that it should cost to
Right.
educate
I
each
see that,
student.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
the thing about the one, when you look on the Massett website, you can't open the different tables. Like, there's some weird thing with it, you can't open it, so you can't exactly see what they're calculating from.
It's a black box.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
was.
But
But that's all, I mean, I just know they decide, and it's in, Mass General Law. It happens.
So does it change yearly?
The formula or the amount?
Either.
The amount does.
I don't know about the formula.
So this, all the schools is chapter 71 of the state law, and I've been told we stacked up all the pages.
You can't even,
Chapter 71 is.
it's massive.
But it's probably available online, right?
It is. We'll send you a link.
Chapter
I
71
did
and-
the-
There's 72, right? Also, right?
It's, yeah, I
It's
think
both.
so. It's, I'm gonna send you, I just was sending Sarah some stuff on the foundation budget. There's a lot of them. But we have some good resources, so we'll just send them to you guys if you want to read it, if you can. If not, that's fine too.
Say how good.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Sometimes they cause more confusion than not, but.
What are the main things that you're mainly concerned about when the process begins? And I'm thinking of special ed costs and, things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, special education costs is one of those things that, we don't have any control
I
over, of
know.
course, and that can change even with the best laid plans, you know, we had our.
Somebody could arrive tomorrow.
It happened this year, we had two arrive after the budget was created, just a couple weeks before school, and they're out of district, and
Mhm.
it's, I mean, those average $200,000 to $300,000 each student, each.
They're out of district.
So that's something I think a lot of times, individual taxpayers don't really realize, but
Mhm.
we, it is our duty and, to educate those kids, and we're happy to, but
It happens.
that can blow up a budget. I know in East
That
Ham
happens at
Elementary,
the elementary school
Yeah.
level as well.
yeah,
Mhm.
dipping out
And
there.
you can't budget for it
Yeah.
because it comes in after the budget
Yeah.
has been
Right.
approved.
So it's super tricky. That's why, I think every town now has it, the elementary schools, and now we have one, are these special ed stabilization funds.
Right.
So if there's an unplanned, if something comes in as unplanned, then we have that money to help for that purpose. So we'll continue to add to that as we can. I know the elementary schools have, so. So that's one strategy that we're doing to manage that a little bit better. For sure. But other things, Mary, yeah, not the biggie. The cost of everything just.
Yeah, I
increased,
know.
So you guys know, you're seeing it, you know, and early numbers that you're seeing, so.
Affects our, you know, our housing issue affects our employee situation, our salaries are, as you said, are probably I should say probably are the biggest cost of just about anything that you're talking about. Inflation affects everything, cost of paper, cost of everything that you use in working.
I will say, you know, with our new administration, our building principals, we have a really good team. I'm pretty excited for what we have in place, and I think, it'll add that much more to the budget process this
Mhm.
year, so I'm excited for that. Our principals in the buildings now have a number of years of experience under their belts in these particular roles. And our superintendent, he already is doing things that I love how they look, so, I think we're gonna, this process this year is gonna even be more efficient than last year, and hopefully you guys will get what you need, sooner, or at least. Now that you know us, you can reach out. Oh, wait, no, seriously though, don't hesitate
We'll ask
to
you,
email us.
yeah,
We'll answer what we can, come to our meetings if I mean, Peter joins pretty much every meeting, you're welcome to come. They're online, I know nobody wants to go to 1,000 meetings, but you're always welcome anywhere. So, but yeah, but reach out.
Are the subcommittees recorded, or is it just the?
They are recorded.
Everything's
Yeah.
on that site, we can just search around it?
Yeah, the subcommittees are.
I don't know where those are.
We've been having ongoing conversations about these, so if you are interested in a meeting, reach out to me and I can get you the link. We're working on making things more accessible on the website as we speak. We have a communication subcommittee that is working on that. Just we're meeting about it yesterday, so hopefully everything will be very easily accessible for everybody.
I think it would be good to have all of the meetings, even though they're not specific to East Ham.
Yeah.
On our town website, so that anybody could go in and get the agenda and zoom in.
Yeah, the agenda should be there, because they're posted, I think, I assume they're there. The recordings used to be, but since the pandemic, when we weren't able to have our meetings in the towns anymore, just the
Mm.
availability wasn't there.
Mm.
I don't think the recordings make it to all the towns necessarily. But again, something that is being worked on. Yeah.
One last
Morris?
question, yes, just a terminology. Superintendency Union 54, what is that?
Good question.
Do you have staff about it?
From budget prior, what I know is, it is the elementary school districts plus the regional district or the region.
It's just the elementary school committees. They form what's called superintendency union number 54. When I first found out about it, I was like, why is it called a union?
I
It was
know,
so
why did they do
confusing.
that?
I thought it was our teachers
I know,
union.
so did I.
So they get together as a body to do certain things. I mentioned earlier this joint committee. When we get that group together, we do certain things like hire a superintendent,
Right,
or there might be something with transportation. So there's different ways that we vote on different things. And sometimes Union 54, Superintendent's Union 54 votes as a body. So each of the elementary schools has 3 of their 5 members are voting members. And those are the folks that vote as a Superintendent's Union 54. So they have their own body that they create. We used to actually get together and also sort of do presentations, best practices as a group, like about elementary school related things. That hasn't happened a few years, but that's what that body does. It's a regional school district type of thing. So you'll see them a lot out in Western Mass, the way reaches of Western Mass. We have ours. There aren't a ton of them, but that's what that body, they get together in that way, and that's it. Just
are
for certain things.
superintendents unionized?
No.
I don't think that.
I don't know why it's called
Not the same.
It's because, I think it's probably called Superintendent's Union. We just usually call it Union 54. I think in there it is called that. That's the official name. Probably because a lot of times they were getting together to talk about things having to do with the superintendent, right? Like hiring a superintendent, evaluating the superintendent. That's my guess. Why the superintendency is there, but we just call it Union 54. And it's the elementary school committees when they get together as body, basically.
Just the elementary school.
Just the elementary school committees. We all do get together as a joint committee, but it's Union 54 and the region. So the region is one body and 54 is another. Sometimes we vote on things all together. It's, I chair that body and
Yeah.
it's been a lesson in,
That's a new one to me, so,
Yeah.
so the Union 54 isn't really a union, it's not
No.
a trade union.
no, they're a body. It's the way, it's what they call them.
It's
I
a-
still think, I think it's a.
I think about changing the name.
Right, I
Yeah.
know it.
That's probably, to do that through Desi would be, I don't even
Oh,
know.
that's,
Yeah,
they-
that's why we don't change a lot of those things. So, yeah.
so that's the elementary schools, yeah.
And I, go ahead.
I have a question, and I think maybe it was the East Ham Elementary School Committee meeting. I was listening. I listen to them at the gym now, so I can. Makes the workout go
Gonna
faster.
get you something more exciting.
Did it, I think, is Bill Crosby, did he say this would be his last year?
Yes, I was just gonna
You,
say,
yeah, I saw you sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill has decided to retire
Retire.
and this will be his last
Just
year.
last year, that's what I thought.
So they're gonna, at that meeting, they talked about starting to put together the process for looking into replacing him.
So that's, East Ham School Committee does that, the elementary school committee.
I think the East Ham
Yeah, they
Elementary.
create a
School.
body, it's, if I remember from last time, it's a bunch of different stakeholders that are involved, teachers, parents.
All from East Ham?
I believe.
I
it
would
was
think
all-
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all from Stan last time, yeah, we know. Bill, Principal Crosby actually started right around the same time as my son. My son did it in elementary
Yeah,
school,
would be the
so,
boss.
yeah,
Mm,
it's been great.
Yeah,
So they should be looking for somebody now, probably hard.
I think the process is starting,
Yeah,
you know better.
pretty
in January or
soon,
something like that.
pretty soon, yeah, pretty soon, yeah. It was discussed at the last East Ham Elementary School meeting that I went to last month. Yeah, oh, at the beginning of this month, actually. Yeah.
This is the
The,
year we'll ever do an agreement, or is it gonna be another year?
That's, so that we had a meeting
That's right.
last.
We just had a meeting on that, yeah.
We had a lot of talk about
It
that.
was good. It was, so we had a meeting with the town representatives and got to hear their comments on our draft restated regional agreement. And so now we'll go back as a subcommittee and talk about next steps. It's gonna be a process.
Does it seem like there's no urgency to it?
I wouldn't say there's no
Because
urgency,
we're living fine without it, so.
right?
Is that part of the problem or?
there's some certain things we need to update, per state. But I will also say, if something, one of those things comes up, the state law would supersede it anyway, would supersede our regional agreement at this point, so that's kind of moved.
So.
It needs to be updated, it's been way too long, for one, and we'll, hopefully do it more regularly going forward. But I wouldn't say there's no urgency, but I also would say, the subcommittee, would share this feeling, that we really wanna make sure it's done well and thoughtfully. And, there's 4 different towns involved and a lot of different stakeholders and a lot of ideas. So we're gonna take it step by step and as we go. It's new for all of us, except for the lawyers probably, who are guiding us, but it's a process. I mean,
It's gonna be a long time coming, but it's not like nothing's happening. I mean,
no,
Yeah. the lawyers for the towns have been really busy.
oh, yeah.
Finally presented their proposals to the school last week.
Yeah, last week.
It was the strangest thing. I walked out of that meeting and I remember it was raining. It was cold, about 45 degrees, raining, dark. Walk out of the middle school and the lights are on, the baseball.
Oh, yeah, it's a great time.
And I went, wow.
It's great.
And then there's a baseball player out there.
Yeah.
There's a baseball game
Think that you have
going on.
me
They
there.
have full uniforms, umpires. It was freezing.
Practicing?
cold.
It's kind of a adult.
Play?
league.
Yeah.
It's an actual
I
game.
really said.
Yeah, no, it's.
Am I having a stroke? I mean.
It's not like fire, but it happens pretty much every time. It's some kind of a travel program or adult program. I'm not exactly.
Whatever.
sure.
It really threw me for a loop.
It is
but,
funny.
We went over and watched it, right?
For about 2 minutes.
Right.
There were like 3 fans sitting on the rail. You
Oh, my
could get them done and everything.
I know, we gotta find out more.
Kids were out there like it was middle of summer. It's unbelievable. When they were kids, they were,
Yeah.
But no, so the towns kind of presented their whole ideas to the school committee. The school committee lawyer was there, the town's lawyer was there. So there's progress. And I think to your point, everybody's just trying to make it the best agreement they can because it needs to be updated and they're getting input from the towns. Because technically, I think you could have just slammed something through and say, this is the new agreement.
Desi doesn't want that, but yeah.
Desi would want, and that's the other
Nor
point.
would we. I
That's
mean,
the other
obviously we
point.
want that.
There's all this deliberating. One reason is because it's gotta go to DESI, Department of Secondary Elementary Education, and they have to approve it. So a lot of the ideas the towns had.
Time issues.
The towns had weren't, DESI wouldn't approve it, so they were kind of moved, but then it's gonna go to the town, DESI. They're gonna have to approve it, they're gonna make changes, and then it's gonna have to go to all 4 towns, so it's gonna be a while.
Finalize it, the 10-year deal or the 5-year deal.
Well, that'll be part of the discussion, actually, how often it'll happen. It's not described right now, but I think it's.
Is it by state?
Yeah,
It's been almost 20 years since it was
Yeah,
renewed. The last
and I
time.
think we realized it needs to be updated because some things happen, something came up within
I
it.
wanted to do the
The
3-year.
3-year.
Oh, right, that's.
The 3-year enrollment act.
And opened up
Exactly.
Pandora's
Okay,
box.
that's what I call
That's
it.
right.
Pandora's
That's
box.
right.
Then there's other things in it too that come up, so yeah, it's,
Yeah. But it's in
yeah,
the
it'll
works.
take some time, for sure,
It'll be good.
yeah.
And then the other big challenge that I wanted to point out is Proposition 2.5. You're kind of, we're all stuck with that, and I'm finance committee too. But your costs go up faster than 2.5%.
Right.
And so that's why we have to have overrides every once in a while.
Right,
All labor.
right, those contracts, yeah.
For a long time, they did. The towns asked the schools to hold it to 3%. And because we get 2.5% plus we get our new growth and
New
stuff,
growth.
so 3%. And they did. For a long time. First override I remember was 2 years ago. And that was it mostly for the elementary.
Yeah, no, agreed, yeah,
So
we did keep them, yeah, just
now you're doing
not
it.
attainable anymore, yeah. I will say for anybody, and I'm gonna get the date, I don't know if you've seen this yet, the new high school will be having ribbon cutting
Oh,
in March. Let me give you guys that date in case anybody's interested. I'm checking that out. We're pretty excited about that to get that open. So March 14th is Saturday at 1 o'clock. be having the ribbon cutting. The kids will be moving in there before then, but that'll be an opportunity for the community to come and celebrate and we can say thank you and, it's pretty amazing over there. So hope we get an opportunity. And if it's not that day, if there's another time that we can get you guys in there too. So let's check it out. It's pretty cool.
You said that's a Saturday, Maura?
Yes. We have 1 o'clock.
No, 1 o'clock.
Anything else that you want us to know?
Anything that you want to tell us about your process that, you know, would be helpful to us when you're thinking about, when you get to that point and anything that we talked about deadlines, obviously, was within our control, but anything else that could be helpful for you guys as you go through your process?
Mary,
I-
could I just,
Yeah, sure.
I think I'm one of the newest people on the committee, and last year I'm still in the process of learning. And last year, a lot of this felt rushed, and it felt like there were things that were sort of unknowables. So what I want to say, Maura, is the transparency and the documents the documentation that you've sent out, I think is going to do very, very well with everybody. Sometimes people can feel like things are hidden and it's not intentional, but the questions come up. So the fact that we've got folks from Eastham Part-Time Resident Taxpayers Association on this call and people who are all experiencing the same information at the same time and being invited to these meetings, I think is going to do miles better. And it may be because I'm understanding things better. You know, Patty and I have talked about the fact that it takes at least a year to just sit here and start to absorb all of this. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you
for
for
all
that. And I'll pass that along to the administration because a lot of it is coming, you know, that Budget and Finance Committee has pushed for that, but and this administration is certainly delivering. So I'll pass that along to both groups for sure.
Anybody else with a question? I want to thank you both very much for coming and
For helping us.
we'll probably want to have you come back as we proceed. But you can, thank you so much for answering us.
We'll send you some
E
links.
and D.
We'll send some links to you guys of things.
Yeah.
Like I said, don't hesitate to reach out to us, email us.
Yeah.
Happy to get those emails.
Yeah, well,
Do our best.
link you stuff that,
Yeah.
like, some of those talks that we've had at the meetings, Vicky and such there.
Oh, that are great, yeah. We'll send that to them. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care. Yeah. You're welcome to stay.
Thank you. I gotta go pick up.
I offer that to everybody that comes and they never stay.
Mary, they're leaving skid marks.
Okay.
Oh dear, thanks very much. Okay, I'm on to the agenda and I'm on to new business. And I have a couple of comments under the new business. I had spoken at our last meeting about having some folks from the Affordable Housing Trust join us to talk about their thoughts on the what's called the Wastewater Infrastructure Investment Fund. Taking monies from the CPA, 1.5% from the CPA and using it for part of the cost of the wastewater. And I wanted to get their input from their perspective on doing that because a large amount of the monies that the CPA gets from our taxes goes to housing. So I have met with them. They have discussed it at one of their meetings. They have some further questions. They want to discuss it again. And then hopefully they can join us for one of our meetings to give us their thoughts, their impressions, their questions, etc. On the issue. So that's where that stands. I've also, actually, Peter and I both attended the Climate Action Committee workshop that was held here at Town Hall maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they are in the process of putting together the responses that they got they gave a little presentation and then we all went around the room and they had different easels set up to discuss different aspects of the climate action issues. Took our thoughts, comments, questions, etc. They're going to be putting their thoughts together. And as a result of that meeting, and we'll be publishing that in a couple of weeks, I understand. And I would like to have some of them join us for one of our meetings, because some of the things that they are interested in doing obviously cost money. And I'd like to get their thoughts on what the prioritization is of what the result of that meeting was. And also to discuss from their perspective, the cost of doing some of those things as far as our budget is concerned. So that's on the agenda down the road. Does anybody else have any other new business that they'd like to talk about? I'm going to go on to item number 7 of the agenda, old business, and that, but 7A is the town annual report, and I want to thank Paul for putting the report together. I know, I guess some of us have given you comments as a result of what you sent out earlier, and you put that together as a result of the comments that you received. Do I have a motion to approve the Eastham Finance Committee annual report for 2025?
I'll move that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just get my things here. That's Kate is approving it. Do I have a second to approve the annual report? That's Roy. Do I have any further discussion on the annual report that Paul put together for us for the Finance Committee? All in favor? Kate? Paul? 1, 2, Fred, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. 9, 0.
Yeah, and Mary, I'll send it to Kendra tonight.
Yeah, Kendra. Yeah. And I just want to thank you again for doing the work for us and sending it out to everybody and taking care of the responses from everybody.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So that's that. Let me see. Under the old business, I'm still on the agenda. The capital project committee update. And I didn't know, let me see, well, Maura just talked about the high school, so when did she tell me the date was?
March 14th.
March 14th, yeah, for the ribbon cutting. I have just a question, has anything been done with the modulars?
Yes, we have them scheduled to be demoed. Starting January 15th.
And once they're demoed, can we stop talking about them?
Probably not.
Demoed, okay.
The kids are gonna move, students are gonna move into the new building over between Christmas and New Year's that week.
Okay.
But then figure we'll leave 2 more weeks after that for staff and custodials to move whatever left in there out of there. And then the demo contractor's gonna have it from starting on the 15th.
Of January, you said?
Yeah.
What's the date of the ribbon cutting?
March.
Well, I had it March
14th.
March 14th, it's a Saturday at 1 o'clock. Yeah, March 14th, Saturday at 1 o'clock. Okay. And any update on the wastewater project?
Steve, Fred,
I did
speak up.
I did the last year, I did it the last time.
Keep it simple. Design completion is supposed to be on January 9th for the water treatment plant.
So it's 100% complete?
It's supposed to be
January
January 9th.
9th?
The collection system is supposed to be completed in April as far as the design. I guess we're gonna start or Peter's gonna start the committee on the, pre-qual committee. The
Pre-qualification.
town is putting together. The pre-qual process will start in January, February next year. I think the bid is March. I have to take a look, but there's gonna be a lot more discussion between the town, the engineers and the state. Because I'm gonna say bids are early spring, maybe. Depends upon what they're actually gonna require us to do. Right now, the direction is get all the bids out, get all the pricing in.
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense. Only because we have a cash flow that's gonna be spread out over 3 years. They're only gonna allow $50 million a year. So you gotta make the cash flow work, and it's not in the town's best interest to buy everything up front for something you're gonna be building 2 years down the road.
Down the road.
The cash flow requirements. So there are gonna be some discussions with the state on that, and it would also help design, I think, and I think a lot of people agree that just delaying the end dates for that initial design would be helpful. Just to make sure the documents are 100%. Versus being forced to do the timeline, which would not be conducive for that. So I guess there's gonna be a lot being discussed with the state in the next month, I would say.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen soon. In fact, I think they were trying to set up a meeting for this tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I was gonna say, it might have just happened, yeah.
They did independent cost analysis.
Right, they did an independent cost analysis, and with the 90% documents. Gonna be refining those also at this point. 90% documents were sent out last week.
Is there a problem with the state that you need to take the money before there's financial problems because of what's going on at the federal level?
No.
They're only gonna give us $50 million a year.
Yeah,
Pardon?
You're only gonna give us $50 million.
50 million for 3 years running and then 10,
20.
20.
oh, 20, 170, yeah, 170, right, 50, 50, 50, 20.
I mean, they approved it for the 170, but will the 50 be there?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
They said it would.
they said it would.
I thought that was part
Project,
of the deal.
Yeah,
because next year, I guess if you go in with a project like this, they're saying they won't guarantee, they'll give you
Right.
1 year, but they won't guarantee the future, which I
that's why it was.
don't know how you could do a project here. Under those rules, but yeah. But maybe the reason they're getting weird with all these rules is because they're concerned about having, I don't know.
So we'll say it did go through the 90% drawings. So a
Yeah.
few hours on it, big difference between that and the 60%,
So,
yeah. There's
Good.
lots of gaps, but they're getting there.
I have a question. Did we talk about this last month or was it one of the capital projects meetings? More grinder pumps are needed than originally anticipated, right? Or
I don't know if it was more, the number.
I think it was a little bit of a surprise too, so.
is it like 300 or 400? Is it?
300.
Yeah,
300, yeah.
And that we'll pay for those, right? That's in the costs. Grinder pumps will be in that.
I don't think we made.
They don't know yet?
That's intended to be.
I was just gonna say, can we absorb the cost of
Rick
that?
put the budget together originally, I think, the cost of grinder pumps, he had an allocation for grinder pumps. Now, whether that includes just the pump itself, or the installation of it, the connecting to it is all sort of to be determined.
right. But I think they're looking at other towns, what they do, they're looking at what the total cost would be.
Yeah,
The engineering involved in these things is quite expensive too. You know, we gotta put measures on.
And so one of the guys that's working with today is from Chatham. In the second phase, they have a lot more grinder pumps in their process as well.
yeah, they were controversial. I remember the articles in the paper about who's gonna pay for them. So the issue with the grinder pumps is, you know, the deeper you put the pipes in the ground, out in the road, fewer grinder pumps you need. But the deeper you put it in, the more expensive it is to get to dig.
Get down.
So it's
I
that,
don't want a situation like it happened in Yarmouth.
yeah, when you get way
Yeah.
down, people, they start caving in and, yeah.
That was awful.
And our OPM supposedly has done an analysis. Says this is the least expensive option for the town is to have more grinder pumps. High, not as deep pipes and, one more,
One last pumping station.
Pumping station.
one more, what do you call it, it's a.
Pumping station?
Pumping station.
One less.
One less.
One
We take one out.
more, right?
I thought I heard pick one out too, but I could be
I think
wrong.
we're taking one out. There wasn't enough flow, there wasn't enough flow on that pumping station.
Yeah,
So we saved a pumping station by putting in more grinder pumps.
Pumping station's like $5 million, so. So they'll buy a lot of grinder pumps. So I guess there's a lot of decisions that need to be made around it. I think if water's any guide, town will be present. If we just don't have enough of a grip on the budget at this stage, I think to make those good decisions.
yeah, that part of the design is gonna be taking the extra 3 months, that was. Apex won't have that one done until late March, early April, the design, so,
But the collection system,
right? So I was wondering how much pressure is on them. Because they weren't planning on bidding out all the contracts, they're just
right there.
only give out 2 out of the 5 or whatever, Albert. But now that they don't want to be forced into doing all.
Yeah, makes no sense to do it.
Are there plans to put solar panels on any of the buildings?
They're being designed
By
to handle that. That
right,
was a request and
Yes.
it's minimal expense, because I think they figure 5 pounds a square foot of solar panels.
PhD's not going to sign them.
I think they said they're gonna design the roof to hold
Okay.
solar panels.
Okay.
That's it, yeah, because there's no state funds available for that. But I know the Climate Action
Yeah,
Committee
yeah.
has
that's-
been in
yeah,
touch with us and looked at the plans and,
Yeah, that's,
asking about the orientation of the buildings. Looks like the way the buildings are gonna. The ridge line is gonna run north-south. So the roofs are gonna face east-west, which isn't ideal, but
no,
they're low enough pitch roofs. That the solar panels, if they ever get put up there, should be very productive, even though they're facing south.
not facing the south.
It's just because when you get down to that flat of a roof, they work very well.
And where do we stand on those translucent panels? Can we make a decision on that? Yes.
Decisions are a little hard to come by with this committee. We talk a lot and then we move on and, no, I think the last I heard,
Well, I know we're gonna
we
evaluate
left them in. We left them into the bid. And maybe that was at that working group meeting anyway, because, yeah, everybody seemed to think that, that was the way to go, that the next. The translucent panels let daylight in too, which is nice for the interiors, and then the less expensive option was the commercial storefront kind of, with aluminum. Frames and glass panels, but there's a lot of caulking involved in that, so the cost to take them out and put them back in was gonna be substantially more than it would be with the translucent, so I think for now.
If you have to take them in and out.
Yeah, I know.
And how often are you gonna pull one of those?
They said 20 years or something on the equipment, but I hope it lasts longer than that.
But the design for the fiberglass tanks, right, the size of those things.
Yeah.
Usually the fiberglass tanks, when you take them out, you can build it in place, that's what we used to build.
Well, I think we'll probably talk about this some more with, when we get the hard budget numbers in, and find out if we're on budget or problem, and then if we have to find some money. Translucent panels might go.
I don't know why you need that much light in there, I do. Operations, nobody in there.
There's some huge equipment in these buildings and the architect has designed these, translucent panels, they're not glass, and they're some.
But you might have a shower.
Yeah, but you would think, my initial reaction when I saw that idea was that, well, they're probably not very expensive because they're just plastic. But apparently they're the most expensive. The most expensive.
Plain
I
glass
think
would be
about
cheaper.
those square blocks that you can't see through.
The glass
That's
box.
right, yeah, right.
That'd be the cheapest way to go. You can just pop those out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We put some of those instead.
Dear,
So,
okay,
yeah,
we're moving along. Okay, I'm looking at the agenda and, I'm on 7C, the school efficiency and regionalization study, and we've talked about that earlier. And about, the meetings that they're holding with at the various schools. And, that they should be putting together a report in the spring.
no upshot from that yet, though.
No,
Okay.
no. The next one is the Nauset Regional School District Agreement. We've talked about that with Laura and Sarah, unless there's any other questions on that.
I have one question.
Sure.
I asked him. Are there enrollment numbers available right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just pulled them off of the,
Please tell me when they're.
the regional website.
They're as of October 1st.
Yeah.
That's a state requirement.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm most curious about that side.
Elementary school or
Either.
middle school or high school? So the elementary school numbers, it's 181 for East Hampton, and it went up from 179 last year or 8. 178. And as I remember it, last year was higher than the year before too, so we've got a little bit of a up thing in East Hampton.
You wanna just show this to him quickly?
But all the others are going the other way. High school. 729 at the high school. This is as of October 1st this year. 2015, so 10 years ago, it was 981. 981, 729. Last year was 763.
So where did it go last year, 763, where did it go up?
This year,
Yeah.
729. It's still going down.
I thought we'd see maybe a little increase with the construction being finished.
Well, maybe there's still, well, it's not finished, so maybe
They're
that's
close
the
to
issue.
being-
It's half done, so maybe next year. School choice. Numbers went. School choice at the high school. So
That's got to be down because of the construction.
125. And last year was 120.
Oh.
School choice. Wow, it's time. Euro dropped. Euro was 51 last year, 41 this year. That was down 25, 23. Middle school is down. Middle school was 460 last year, it's down to 442. 10 years ago, it was 544, about 100.
Unbelievable. And I was at a meeting not too long ago where they were talking about housing. And one of the individuals giving the presentation talked about the fact that not too many years ago, they were talking about the Orleans Elementary School. Not too many years ago, there were 300. And last year there were 145.
The number of students from the Nauset district attending other high schools. And the charter schools end up costing the taxpayers of the four towns a lot. Is this the reimbursement from the state? They had a formula where they reimbursed 100% the first year and it goes down.
It's funny.
It goes down, it goes down. as the years go.
Delayed paying.
But it's the same, is it per student or per? So I understand they had a sliding scale,
Yeah,
right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's per student.
per student.
Student, it's just 4
So
years.
I think the ones that really get expensive are the ones that start in middle. school,
Start.
And then they continue on through the high school, and by the time they get to
It's after that
junior
4th
year, we have to pay $30,000 a year.
Quite a bit more.
So the charter starts in middle school?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yes.
anyway, the lighthouse.
Yeah, the Lighthouse Charter School.
Is
It's now in Harwich,
okay,
on
then,
Route 137.
is that middle at?
That's
middle,
middle, that's just
it's just
middle.
middle?
Yeah.
No, I didn't realize that. I thought it was
That-
in high school.
So
And
that-
Sturgis is high school.
Yeah. So Lighthouse went from 79 last year that we were sending out a district to only 49 this year, so bad for them, but good for the taxpayers. And it was,
Hopefully that's the impact of the new high
For
school.
the new high school.
maybe, that was Lighthouse though, middle school.
Yeah,
Sturgis,
Lighthouse is middle school, not the high school.
Maybe they're thinking future,
But
like
Sturgis is
center,
high
if they're gonna stay.
Sturgis went the other way though. Not as drastically. Sturgis went from 45 last year to 56 this year. Tech school has gone steadily up. It was 80 in 2011 and it's 117 now. 112 last year.
I can see that.
And I can,
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Plumbers are gonna be the only ones that can afford delivery.
Peter, what were those numbers again for the tech school?
Let's see. Well, in 19, I'll go back to 10 years. Huh? In 2015, it was 86 and now it's 117. Last year it was 112. Year before that it was 105. It seems to be every year. I don't see one year where it went down. Those are just students from all four towns going to the tech. But yeah, this is on that website. On the district website. In the packet for the meeting, it was the week before last.
November 7th meeting.
November 6th or 7th meeting where the school committee got.
Do we have any idea on the rest of the towns? So is our allocation gonna go up or down this year?
I ran into Jerry and he had been talking with Rich and apparently they think there's gonna be, yeah, we're gonna get hit. But I haven't done it. I just saw these today. So how can I try that? So that's based on, middle and high school. So middle school, East End went from 86 to 91. So we're up 5. Brewster is up
Yeah.
7, but they have a lot more kids. Orleans went from 81 last year to 68 this year,
Yeah.
so 13 down.
We went up 5.
We went up 5, Orleans went down
And
13,
Brewster went up 7.
Wellfleet went down 9.
Mhm.
So we're gonna have higher ratio in the middle
Right,
school and
that's
then in
right,
the high
That's right,
school.
that's right.
High school, we're 10 fewer than last year. Brewster's 9 fewer. Orleans is 2. So Orleans picked up a little on the high school.
But the high school totals went from 763 to 729.
What do you mean? What, total?
The totals, yeah.
And what was East Hampshire on the high school?
Of the high school, I have, 189. No, I'm sorry, yeah, 109 compared to 119 prior year.
109 out of 7.
And as Peter said, 10 difference,
So it doesn't seem like we have
10 less.
much different percentage than last year, but.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with special ed at the elementary school at Beaver Dam.
No, I haven't heard anything. Okay, any other,
Sorry.
any other questions on the schools? I'm looking at this, the agenda, 7E is really the same, sort of the same thing as we've discussed with the Nauset Regional School District, so I'm going to pass that unless anybody has anything about it. I'm gonna go on to number 8 of the agenda, town manager and staff updates. There was no new town manager report for the last select board meeting this past Monday. But I just want to say that the Rick White, who was involved, the outside consultant who's involved with the process of replacing Jackie, talked. And the select board has decided to spend time at this point with an internal search versus outside. So it's going to be posted internally for a period of time. I think it's 2 or 3 weeks. And we'll be seeing what happens as a result of that. Does anybody have anything else that they'd like to talk about? First, I'll just say our next meeting, I just want to remind people, like this time we met a week early because of Thanksgiving. Next month, Christmas is a Thursday, so we're going to be meeting on December 18th, which is a week prior to the normal time of our schedule. Because everybody else doesn't have everybody else is trying to fit everything in at the same time like we are. We're going to be back in the small meeting room, for our next meeting, which is December 18th at 4 o'clock. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Roy? Do I have a second? Patty? And all in favor of adjourning? 9-0, and I have 550.
5:46 I have.
546,
46.
546, yes, you're right, 546.
And Mary,
Mira, we're adjourning at 546.
and Mary, just, there's a chat, a note in the chat from, Patty Dwyer. She had to leave to attend the Part-Time Resident Taxpayers Association meeting at 5:30, but she said thank you and happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And happy Thanksgiving to everybody here and Paul and Kate.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
I'm gonna try to,